Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of MoFutbol. And today we're talking college soccer recruiting and how to find yourself in the next level. And I have the pleasure to have Sam Henneberg from Select Generation to talk about pretty much the path of what his company does, and also how he turned from being one to kick the ball to help those that are now kicking it. So, Sam, how are you doing today?
Yeah, Mo, really appreciate your time. Thanks for having me, and yeah, I'm excited to do the show with you.
Excellent, excellent. And yes, and so you mentioned that you are currently in Miami, Florida. So is that your new home base, or?
Yeah, so I moved to Miami about 6 months ago. I've kind of bounced around all over the US. I went to college in North Carolina, then I did a master's in New Hampshire, and then I was living in North Carolina for a bit. Moved out to San Francisco for a couple of years, and then Miami's been my base for the last 6 months.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, so and the big part is like it looks like you're from Guildford, England. So could you tell us a little bit more of how a Guildford kid came from the UK to the US? Because we all have our funny stories, so
Yeah.
definitely interesting.
Yeah. So I was born in New York City. I was born in
Okay.
Manhattan. My parents are both English. My parents got transferred over to New York for work, so I was born there. The first couple of years I lived in New York City, and then when I grew up, I moved to UK when I was about 2 years old. I grew up my whole life in England. Like, I don't really consider myself American. I consider myself English. And then when I was getting to 16, 17, my mum always told me, like, if you want to go to the US on a scholarship to go and play football, you can. It's an option for you. And I wanted to go to university. I wanted to keep playing football, and I really enjoy traveling, even from a young age. So coming to the US kind of did all that for me. It was an adventure. And when I was 18 years old, I went to Catawba College Division II school in North Carolina on a soccer scholarship. So that's how I came from the UK over to the US.
Nice, nice. So I guess you had the easy transition because I guess paperwork was not an issue anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it was easy in terms of the paperwork, but it was definitely difficult in terms of the culture shock coming over to a small town in North Carolina. And yeah, I mean, it was difficult, like leaving all my friends, all my family. None of my friends came to the US. I know now there's a lot of people that come from abroad to the US, to the NCAA, but like 6, 7 years ago when I did it, none of my friends were doing it, so it was difficult, kind of in that sense. But yeah, I didn't have to apply for a visa or anything.
Nice, nice. So, kind of bring it back a little bit. Could you tell us a little bit, how your soccer and football experience started, from the UK and kind of your path to um, college soccer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was never in like a big academy, or I never played for like a top team in the UK. I grew up kind of playing with my friends, and then in England, there's like a million divisions, a million teams that you can play for. So I was playing for a good team. Like I said, not a Premier League academy or any big club like that, but I started playing sort of a decent level. I think I was born in July. I'm born in July, so I was always like a lot smaller, less physical, less stronger than a lot of my friends. So I think later on in my kind of youth career, I developed more. When I got to like 14, 15 is when I started to kind of be one of the better players in my team. And then when I got to like 15, 16, I started playing for better teams. I switched teams to kind of a more established team, Sandhurst Town. When I was playing U18 football, I was playing U18 football at like 16, 17. And then we won our league. I went to go and play for Farnham. It's a men's team. So I was playing men's football at 17 years old, 16 years old. And then, yeah, at this time I was also exploring getting out to the US. So I was making my video. I was reaching out to colleges. I had an agency helping me. And then, yeah, when I was like 16, 17, I knew that I was kind of coming to the US, my last year of sixth form college in England. So I was playing, kind of trying to win, trying to help the team get promoted. Farnham and also my U18 team, we had guys that were trying to get to other clubs. We had guys that were all going off to university as well. So then, yeah, that was the transition. I was never playing for a big academy. I was just kind of playing like men's football, youth football in a local regional league. And then I came over to the US.
Nice. Yeah. So and I think you just brought up one part where you said that you were 16 and playing with the kids much older than you, and probably adults as well. Could you tell us, how much did that help you and benefit, to playing with an age up or two? We know that, in the US, you kind of have to follow your age, and we always have that discussion. But how did that help you, you know,
Yeah, that helped me massively. Playing men's football is something I think that kind of was the foundations for me having a successful playing career in the NCAA, because like youth academy football, it's nice football. Like you play out from the back. Maybe if you don't win, it's not the end of the world. You are playing nice football. You're trying to play pretty football, make sure all the passes are perfect. Whereas men's football, like probably we had a string of 4 passes maximum together. It's long balls, it's flicking it on, it's a big striker holding the ball up, wingers getting in behind, crossing it as much as possible. That was the style that our team played, and a lot of the teams in our league played. And also things like talking to the referee. I remember when I was like playing youth football, the kids or the players are kind of complaining to the referee, not talking maybe in the best way. But when you go play men's football, they know how to manage the referee. They know how to like play off sides a little bit more. They know how to waste time. They know how important like set pieces are, for example. So I think, and especially now when I'm talking to like NCAA coaches, they want players that have played men's football. So for me personally, it was a different side of the game that I didn't really understand until I got that. And I think having that at 16, 17, I was like a nippy little winger when I was playing. So I would kind of use that to my advantage. Maybe I was playing against a left back or a right back who was a bit out of shape, the lower leagues of English football. And but then again, like they would kind of use their arms to push me. They would use their body well to make sure I couldn't get around them. And that taught me like if I'm faster than the other player, it doesn't matter. Like he's way more experienced than me. He's talking to the referee, maybe getting me a yellow card when it was never a yellow card offense. So yeah, I think men's football just teaches you a different side of the game that youth football can't really develop you.
Also, you definitely found out quickly, who was the stronger body versus you, and I guess how to manage yourself during somewhat bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Like men's football is, I think getting exposed to that is really important. And I think, I definitely made sure I had my shin pads on those games. I'll tell you that.
I think we all have those bruises to let us know about those. So and then leading to college, how was your college experience? Coming in from the UK and throughout those years.
Yeah, my college experience. So first of all, I went to a Division II school in North Carolina, Catawba College. We probably had the worst record out of any Division II school in the country. I think in 3 years that I played there, we won like 3 conference games out of 30. So, I came to the US, yes, to like study, yes, to travel, but mainly to play football. Like I wasn't going to Catawba College because they had a really good business school. Like that was a good thing, but I went there to play football because I got a good scholarship and I wanted to win. Okay. So it was difficult to transition in terms of football because we struggled a lot. We had a really tough conference. We had good players, but I don't know, we just couldn't win. We couldn't figure it out. And so that was difficult. But in the summer, I used the summer to play USL 2. Yep. So that was a really good experience. I got to meet a lot of people from the NAIA, Division 2, Division 1, Division 3, junior colleges. And then that kind of gave me a platform to go and transfer to Division 1. So then I played for 2 years at the University of New Hampshire. During COVID, in the spring we played, and then I got an extra year because of that COVID to play in the fall. And then that was awesome. Like I came to the US for that type of environment to play, in front of a crowd, to play at a really high level, to kind of pursue soccer. And that was kind of when I think I had my most memorable time in the US was when I was at New Hampshire playing Division 1 soccer, winning, being part of an amazing team. But yeah, definitely at the start, the culture shock, but also the football, the style of football and the way that kind of the college game is, it was definitely different, but I just had to adjust.
Yes, and USL is definitely one of those great ones where you see who's the up-and-comers. So pretty much, so it looks like with your story, you kind of observe the process for not only international players, but pretty much US soccer. So how did, Select Generation come into play? I believe you have also a co-founder. So how was that transaction from kicking the ball to now helping kids kicking it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I tried after I graduated from New Hampshire, I tried to play professionally, and I just probably wasn't good enough. I didn't have an agent, so I didn't know how anything worked, and I couldn't get any offers. So I was like, I have an undergrad, I have a master's, I'm going to go and get a job. Like, this is real life now, college is done. I'm not going to be a pro footballer. I need to get a job. So I started working. I moved back to Charlotte because that's where most of my friends were at the time, in North Carolina. And me and my co-founder, Victor, we knew each other from USL2. We met during USL2. We actually played against each other 3 years in the SAC conference, Division 2. He went to a school in Orion. And then, so after I graduated, we knew each other. I was like, hey, Vic, I'm going to move to Charlotte. Do you want to get an apartment together? He was moving to be a football coach for Barcelona Academy. And I was working in a finance job. And then we both really missed football. Like, we both wanted to be involved in soccer. Obviously, he had his coaching job, but I wasn't really involved anymore. And going from like playing training every day in the college season to nothing was really difficult for me. Right. So we both joined like a UPSL team. The level wasn't great, but we had like a lot of high school kids that were also training and playing with us. So basically, we had a lot of players that were asking us for advice, like American players from the Charlotte area, like, hey, Sam, hey, Vic, how do I go to this school? How do I reach out to the coach? Am I good enough? How does it work? And for me, like as an English player, you're just thinking, all you need to do is make a video, send it to some coaches, and they're going to give you an offer. Like, it's easy. You just need to reach out to as many coaches as possible. But obviously, for an American player, it's completely different. Everyone in the US wants to go to NCAA to play soccer, whereas everyone in England, 1% of people know about the NCAA, So we started realizing that there's a lot of our players, they really needed help and they didn't really have anyone to help them. So then we organized, we had a lot of friends that were in Charlotte that were coaches, assistant coaches, head coaches. So we were like, hey guys, we're going to invite 20, 25 players to a field. Can you come and watch and recruit? There's going to be good players there. So we set up an event. It was basically like we started giving advice to the players, but then we realized we need to get them seen. Like, we can tell them to make a video, we can tell them to reach out to the coaches, but at the end of the day, they're never going to offer them if they don't actually know how good they are. So that's why we set up a showcase event. Then we did a few showcase events, and kind of there from there grew really. But that was the start of it, really, just helping players on our UPSL team that had no idea how to go to college.
So was there one or two questions that kids ask the most during the question they were posed to you? One or two questions that
the main often. The main question was just, how do I get started? Like, they didn't know how to have a starting point. I was like, yeah, you need to reach out to the coach, but they were like, I don't know how. What do I say? How do I find his email? Do I need to have a video? And then it kind of went from there. So the first question was always like, how do I get started? I don't know where to start. And then the second one was like, how good am I? Like, what is my level? I would say you need to just reach out to the coach. But obviously, if you're a player that hasn't really started his college process at 16, 17, it's going to be difficult for you to play Division 1 soccer. So they would ask me, do you think I can play JUCO? Do you think I could play an AIA, D2, D3? So the two questions were, how do I get started? And then what level do you think I'm at?
Yep. So it looks like what you just mentioned, especially if they have inspires to be in D1, D2, or 3. It looks like 16, pretty much sophomore year. That's where they should pretty much start the process if they're serious about.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, everyone's process is different. Like, some players at 15, 16, they just want to be pro soccer players. They don't want to think about college. Some players at 15, 16 might be good enough for a pro club, but they want to get their education, so they want to go to college. Some players can start later because they have more contacts, more connections. Some players get offered last minute when a coach sees them randomly at some showcase or gets sent them. So I would say probably at 15, 16, you need to start thinking about it, because that's when really you need to kind of have a head start. But I mean, it depends. It's different for everyone.
Yeah. And so was there, if you were to, I guess, met some of those guys or ladies that have already started the process, was there a thing, or I guess a task or a step that that's always missed, or
yeah, I think underestimating how difficult it is, because a lot of the kids think, okay, I want to play in college. I'm going to make a list of 10 schools near my home. So let's say, for example, Charlotte, North Carolina, it's got 1 million schools that you can play soccer at. There's a lot. That's like a hotbed for NCAA schools. You got Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. In the Carolinas, there's loads of schools. So the players kind of think, okay, I'm going to make a list of 10 schools and I'm going to email them and then see what happens. They email just the Division 1 schools. Their email's horrible. They don't get any replies, and then they kind of stop and think, okay, the coach is going to message me. So I think what players really struggle with is underestimating how difficult it is, and also kind of not realizing that they need to do a lot more than just kind of email one coach, hope that he replies. That's kind of what I think the biggest mistake a lot of players make at the start when they're starting their process.
Okay. So it sounds like pretty much how they reach out to the coaches, do the initial research, and it looks like maybe more professional, like emails or reach out. It sounds like.
Yeah, it depends. Like I always tell players, like the way you're going to get offers is if a coach sees you in person, so you need to go to a showcase or you need to go to a camp. If you phone a coach because you email him his video, he likes your video and he's interested in you. Really, it's about how many hands you shake and how many people that see your video and how many calls you get on with the coaches. So the more you can do that, obviously, the more success that you're going to have.
Okay. Yeah. So, and it looks like you've helped about 60 players to land college deals and 150 international opportunities. So could you share with us, one success story that, when someone asks you, how did Select Generation help, and you kind of have that story to share with whoever?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, we have a lot of positive feedback from the players, and it's difficult to kind of pinpoint one player. We've had players that have been junior seniors that didn't really know how anything works, and they've gone to Division 2, Division 3, because obviously, like, it would be easy for me to tell you that sending a player to Division 1 is a massive win, and it is. Like, I'm really proud of that. But it's also rewarding to send players to Division 2, Division 3 NCAA schools and even junior colleges, because maybe those are the types of players that didn't think that playing college soccer was feasible, or they really struggled because they were just targeting Division 1 schools. Emma's a player from Napa, California, that he went to a junior college. He started his clock without realizing the club didn't really kind of help him that much in terms of educating him on the process. He ended up going to play Division 1 at St. Mary's College. He's having a really good spring season at the moment. He's a player that kind of was, if he's listening to this, he'll appreciate saying he was a bit lost in the process. Like, he didn't know what to do. So that was really good to help Emma. David's a player that finished college. He came for a 2-week camp with us in Spain. He's going to be playing for us next year in Spain. He ended up training with Unionistas, a third division team. I've told the story a lot, but he's a player that he said, I did a podcast with him. He said, like, he was living in the back of his car for a period of time, not knowing what to do. And he ended up going to training with a third division team in Spain, He didn't get signed, but that experience was amazing for him. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players that we have a lot of success stories, to be fair. And I don't mean to say that kind of thinking that we're better than everyone, but a lot of players that, we help. I personally enjoy more helping players that end up at a school that they really want to go to, kind of for the way the academics are, for the way that they feel the coach wants them. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot.
Oh, definitely, yes. And I think one of the things that you kind of highlighted that I always try to promote as well is that, even though everybody advertised the D1, but knowing that, you can place someone in 2-3 NAIA as well, it's a huge accomplishment on itself. And try to, tell kids, D1 is nice, but it's a small percentage that will still get through it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, it's becoming increasingly difficult to play Division 1 soccer, like, especially if you're a US, I mean, even if you're an international player. Like, I had a podcast the other day with Matteo, the assistant coach at FIU. The guy played for the Italian youth national team. The guy played for, he's got like bench appearances on Serie A, and he played Division 1 college soccer, at FIU. So, like, you're competing against these types of guys. The guys, if you look at Division 1, are like 21, 22 years old. For you to compete like with that type of player, I mean, those are obviously the top Division 1 schools. You have like mid-major and lower Division 1 schools, but still, like, if you play college soccer in general, junior college, NAIA, Division 3, Division 2, like, it's a win. Like, that's massive. Like, the amount of players that I'm not good enough to go and do that is a lot. So really being grateful for that, kind of, that's what I try and tell the boys. Like, you need to be open-minded with these experiences. And at the end of the day, like, just because you go JUCO, D3, D2 doesn't mean that you're not going to play Division 1 soccer. Like, if you play well, if you have the stats, if you want to transfer, that option's always there too. I mean, I don't think that you should go to a school planning on transferring. But if you really, I mean, obviously, if you go in JUCO, you'll need to transfer. But, like, Division 1 as a freshman is not the only way to get to Division 1. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I guess per experience, I know a few friends from even friends that played academies, trying to come to the U.S. They're becoming to starting to figure out even the NCAA. It's not as you have a French passport, so they will think that you're the best player. And you still have to show up, and it's becoming more and more difficult to join the ranks. Even Division 2, from what I understand, it's becoming
Yeah,
even harder at
yeah,
that point.
yeah. Like, I mean, honest, I think it sounds a bit crazy, but from my perspective or from my experience, it's almost harder as an American player to play Division 2 than it is to play Division 1, just because like Division 1 schools obviously have got a massive grasp on the best American players because they go to MLS Next Fest, Flex Fest,
Yeah,
they go to the GA Cup, they go to ECNL tournaments, etc. So they know where all the best American players are. They go to the Pro Academy games. So then the D2 schools are like, I can't really attract the best American players, so I need to go internationally to recruit, you know? So, yeah, it's difficult to play college soccer in general.
Yes, and so I think probably to circle back a little bit. So I was surprised, how many colleges are across the U.S. So when you were doing your process, how surprised were you that almost every other half of the country may have maybe two or three D1 school, but then they have 15 Division 2 and 10 Division 3 and 20
Yeah,
JUCOs.
yeah,
How was that surprising to you? Because it looks like there's a lot of soccer players to pick
yeah.
from.
It's funny. When I was playing USL 2, we did like a quiz, and I was in charge of the quiz, writing the questions. And I remember like one of the questions was how many universities are there in America,
Okay.
and I can't remember the specific number, but it was thousands. And I was like, in England, I don't know how many there are in England, but there's really not that many. But here, I feel like in the US, like everyone pretty much thinks about going to college, and there's so many colleges. I remember like looking up how many Division 3 schools there are in like Boston or New England, and I was like, wow, this is insane. But I mean, I think it's part of the culture in the US, like going to college, like everyone kind of, one of the first questions when you meet someone out or for a coffee or at the bar, oh, where did you go to college? You know, like it's kind of a norm. So yeah, I mean, it's amazing how many colleges are. I mean, obviously, I think that's good for the country because it's good for the education system for people to
Yeah.
go to college and get educated. But yeah, the scale of it is amazing.
Yeah, and I will tell you a fun stat here in St. Louis, Missouri. They don't ask you where you went to college; is where you went to high school. Yes. You could even go to Yale, and if you do not say the right high school in St. Louis, they will kind of look you on the other side. So yes, maybe the rest of the country is where you go to college,
Yeah,
but here in St. Louis, they will ask you high school first.
that's funny.
So beware if you were happen to come here, and yes, that's
I'll let
that's
you
how
know.
they started every conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and on that part, so now that you've seen, kids trying to go through the process, parents. So how on the parent side of things, is there a few tips that you could share to the parents that have kids that are going to that process?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, what I would say for parents is it's like applying for a job. Like I talk to a lot of parents and I say, if you were applying for a job, what steps would you take? It's pretty much the same thing about trying to get recruited to go and play college soccer. Like you need to kind of market yourself. You need to have a good resume. You need to reach out to as many people as you can. And then that's going to be like, if you were applying for a job, how many people are going to set up an interview with you? It's like setting up an interview. So, I mean, in terms of like the support system for parents, I think parents that are like it for a college soccer player for a high school aged person that's trying to get recruited to play college soccer, it's overwhelming. Like you feel like you're always behind. You're looking at your teammates committing to school and you're thinking, why is it not me? I'm better than him. He's going to this school, but I'm better than him. But maybe it's because he has a bigger budget than you. Maybe it's because he has better GPA than you. Maybe it's because he went to that camp and you didn't. Like there's a lot of things that you don't really understand. So for parents, I think they just need to be a good support system. Like, listen, I mean, I mean, I'm not a parent, but if I
Yeah.
was a parent, I would just tell my kid, like, listen, it's a long process. There's a long journey. You don't have to commit tomorrow. Like, we're going to support you all the way. If you have questions, like, come to me. But I don't think you should be like on the kid, like, hey, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. I mean, I don't know how it depends because some some kids are a bit, I don't want to say lazy, but they just kind of go through the motions and they don't reach out to coaches. So like, if that's your kid, then yeah, maybe you need to be like, hey, you need to be proactive and you need to do some things here. But just being a support system, I would say that's the biggest thing for parents. Like, make sure your kid is like, happy, make sure he's motivated, because if he's not motivated, then he's not going to do it. And maybe college soccer isn't for him too. Like, you might want your kid to go to college and play at a Division 1 school, and you put a lot of pressure on him, and he's like, Mum, Dad, like, I just don't want to do that. You can't really force him. You got to really think about it. So I don't know, just be a good support system. You know your kid better than I know your kid. So figure out how to motivate him, and then just support him through that process.
Oh yeah, and you definitely nailed it. There's that a lot of, we'll say, even sports in generals. Here you do see some kids, what I say, it's almost when they're in their youth clubs, and it almost seems like they're living professional lives already, because they're traveling all the time, practicing most of the time. So by the time they get to college, a lot of them burn out, and sometimes a lot of those great kids that probably could make it that far decide to kind of stop the sport itself and kind of experience life, because once you get a week of college, you're probably like, what have I been missing for the past 5-6 years? So
Yeah,
definitely. And so when it comes to like soccer development here, since you've kind of seen the process of in the UK and then American soccer, so how does select generation help with not just the path of the recruitment but also the development? Do you guys connect with coaches or any other individuals within soccer to
Yeah,
help this
yeah,
case?
yeah. So Select Generation, we're an agency. So we want to get guys into the NCAA. We want to try and put guys in European teams if they're good enough. So in terms of like what we do for players, I like to think it's like, if a player, like, we don't really do any recruiting services. Like,
Okay.
I know there's like a lot of the times I'll talk to a player or a parent, they'll be like, oh, Sam, like, how much do you charge for like to put me in college? And that's not really how we operate. Like, if you're a good player and you have questions and you need help, like, I'm gonna tell you how, like, what you need to do. So I think a lot of what we do is mentoring, like coaching, in terms of like, you should reach out to the coach like this, or I think this is your level, I think these are the schools you should target. That's kind of like more of what we're doing in terms of the agency stuff, even for like our players. And then like Select Generation athlete would be someone that is kind of with us in Spain or next year in England. So what we realized is that we started off doing kind of the recruiting services, like helping guys get into college. But at the end of the day, like, I can kind of vouch for the player all I want. I can talk to the coach like, hey, you should sign this player, he's good enough. But then the player doesn't pick up the phone, or the player's not got the best GPA, or it's out of the player's budget. So like, it's hard for us to kind of get the player into that college. So what we realized is that, okay, and also like, to go to the NCAA is becoming increasingly more difficult as an American. You need to kind of have something else on your resume. So can we get players to Europe? And Victor, my partner, he went back to Spain. So he's obviously in Spain, and there was a lot of coaches there asking like, hey, Victor, like, you went out to America, what are the players like out there? Because kind of how like American coaches are looking for Europeans. Also in like Spain, for example, it's very tactical, very technical, but maybe physically they're missing something, the Spanish players. So can we get like some American players in that environment? And then with those guys, like, they have a lot on their resume. And then, I'm talking to coaches and they're saying, hey, Sam, I need a left back, I need a right back, I need a striker, a goalkeeper. Who have you got that's kind of had men's football experience? Who have you got that's a good player, good person? And then we'll obviously, connect them with the coach if we think it's a good fit for them. So we're not doing the typical standard like recruiting services, highlight video, reaching out to coaches. It's more like really after we trust the player, after we know the player. And then, like I said, if there's a player that I go and watch that I like, maybe he doesn't want to come to Spain, England, maybe he just wants to focus on the NCAA, then if he's a good player, if he has questions, then happy to kind of give him knowledge and, steer him in the right direction, basically.
Nice. So it looks like pretty much like a lot of your marketing on that part, the path. So pretty much for you, it's not just this college path, but it's also just soccer player path in general.
Yeah.
Wherever it leads you is where you
Yeah,
find.
I think it depends. Like, there's like, soccer is obviously a global sport, and I think one of the things in the US is like, like players in general are quite like narrow-minded. Like, they think, okay, like high school, ECNL, MLS Next, Division 3, 2, 1. Like that's kind of all there is. But there's like so much football out there, like, and you need to really understand your level and like be curious and think about other pathways too. Like players tell me all the time, "Oh, I want to go to Europe," but like, why would a Premier League or a La Liga academy sign you when they can sign a player from elsewhere for like €1 million? Like they're not going to sign you. Just that's the facts. So, but maybe there's like lower level leagues in Europe that are maybe looking for a player like you. And maybe if you're hungry, if you work hard, then there's going to be opportunities come for you. So I think like just being curious, just being open-minded, and also like there's a lot of different pathways. I mean, like I said, like D1 might be your end goal, but you might go there for going to Europe first. You might go into junior college first. You might go straight there from high school. You might go straight there from MLS Next. Like really, it depends. There's so many pathways and like so many development too. Like some players are ready at 18, some players are ready at 21. It really just depends.
Yes, and I think that's what we kind of enjoy from soccer and football is that you can even be in a Division 1 or Division 2 in Europe and still play the sports you love and have a good living out of it. So that's where so for you, when you hear someone says, I want to play in Europe, when I hear it, I say it doesn't matter which league you go to, even the level. But when you hear some of your players, when it says, I want to go to Europe, are they only targeting division League One or the championship, or they're like, I just want to play in Europe? And
Yeah,
then
it depends. Like I think that's kind of like the education piece and like mentoring the kids too, because a lot of them, they watch Real Madrid, they watch PSG, they watch Champions League, and they want to go and play in that environment. And it's like you are way off it, like way off it. But then it's like educating them, like England has what, like 15 different levels. Like so at the bottom, probably if you're a good technical player in the US, there's going to be a team that needs a player like you. But then it's like, do you have an agent to kind of navigate that for you? Are you doing that completely blind? So to answer your question, I mean, players, when they say go to Europe, most of them, the players that we talk to, think about like the academy level because they know they're not ready to play men's football. So they need to kind of have a bridge to it through an academy. And then it depends. Like, okay, that's like when we talk to players, it's like, okay, like when you want to go and play in Europe, like, what do you mean? Do you want to go to like a La Liga academy, a League One academy, or do you want to go like lower league football? Like what do you mean by that? And then when we kind of understand all the information, then we can educate the player. Like, look, okay, this might be your level. This might be your level. But at the end of the day, like you need to go develop, play well, and you need to have a good resume before anyone's going to take a chance on you. So yeah, I mean, it depends on each player.
Excellent. So yes. So and as we close out here, we'll have about 5 fun questions for you towards the end. But for the one last serious question, so you've gone through the whole process and the path. So what is one lesson that you've learned during your playing career that you want to make sure that you share that with the kids that are going through that process now?
Yeah, that's a good question. One lesson that I've learned from my playing career was that I don't want to say just work hard and be consistent because everyone says that, but I think
Fair.
being likable is really important because when you're networking is such a big part of football and players don't really understand and they don't really realize that, right? So I think you need to be likable because if you're, for example, if you're going to a showcase or a match and you kind of have your head down, you're nervous to talk to coaches, you're nervous to talk to other players, you're not likable. Like I talk to so many like club coaches of their teams, and I'm like, okay, who's a good player? Like I like this player. What can you tell me about him? Not a good attitude, and that kind of puts me off the player, obviously. But then they'll say, oh, Sam, but I've got this player. He's always early to training. He's always got a smile on his face. He's a good teammate. You should have a look at him instead. And I think that's really important in football is to be likable, have a good attitude, because at the end of the day, like everyone talks to everyone. And when you I've taken players or like some players are in the NCAA because they were more liked than their teammate. Like their teammate transfer out because they're, got a bad attitude and the coach doesn't want to have them on the team anymore. Networking in football, like even when you're speaking to the other team after the game, like shaking hands, like, oh, bro, like good goal today. Like, well done. That was a good goal you scored. That was a good defensive that was a good defensive play that you made. Like, let me get your Instagram, let me get your number, let's stay in touch. I think be likable, because for me, I think I've been likable in my career. Like, I've always had good relationships with my teammates, with my coaches. And at the end of the day, like, when they needed something, or they needed a player like me, or someone needed something that I could give them, I was the person that they reached out to. So I think be likable, have a smile on your face, enjoy football, say nice things to people, don't complain, and that's going to get you a long way.
Yeah, and I mean that's also that's what I say pretty much in all my podcasts, that even though soccer football is a global sport, it's still a very small network where we pretty much almost all know each other in some degree of level. So that definitely hit the point there. So I think for those were all of the serious question on that part of the podcast. So now I'll just ask you 5 random questions, and we'll see how you take those. So now that you are living in Miami now, so are you technically an Inter Miami fan, or you've grown throughout the years to watch any other team? Doesn't matter if it's MLS, USL, or etc.
Yeah, I'm a Chelsea fan. I support Chelsea.
I knew I like you for a reason.
Yeah, I'm a Chelsea fan. To be fair, I don't really watch the MLS that much. My friend Yannick, who I played in college with, he plays for Inter Miami, so I'll go and watch them a few times. I'm a Chelsea fan though.
All right, perfect. I'm a Chelsea fan too. Since Claude Makelele moved to Chelsea, that's where I became one. So
Love it.
I've been quite spoiled. So you see, it's still a small world because now I get to talk to Chelsea fans all the time. So, well, I guess as a Chelsea fan, what? Sorry, who's the player that you look up to?
Um, I always looked up to Branislav Ivanovic, because he was like kind of an unsung hero. Like, no one really ever talked about him. It was always like Drogba, Terry, Lampard, and Ivanovic was. I played right back in college, and when I was growing up, I was kind of playing right back, and he was always someone that just turned up, did the job. You couldn't get past him. He popped up with a few goals here and there, but no one ever talks about like, oh, Ivanovic was like the best player at Chelsea, Like, he won a lot of things. He was always like a 7, 8 out of 10, very consistent. So I always liked Ivanovic. He was like the guy that I looked up to.
Oh, he was definitely a beast. So, and I know, do you watch any high school soccer?
I do watch a lot, actually. I mean, more like in terms of video. I watch high school. I don't go to that many in-person high school matches, but I watch a lot of high school video.
All right, so yes, so also in this episode, I like to do the shameless plug. So there's a group of high school soccer coaches and U.S. soccer legends that decided that sometimes high school soccer is kind of forgotten a lot of the things where it's more club soccer. So what they decided to do is to have a Champions League in each of their regions. So you're in Miami, so pretty much there's Tampa, that have their very first one, where is the Tampa top 10, where they have the best high school playing against each other. And they actually play at the Tampa Rowdies Allen Stadium, their finals. Believe it's every December that they play the final. So as guess the shameless plug, if you're in Tampa, I'll definitely put you guys in contact to see if you can watch some of those kids play
Yeah,
up
that'd be
there.
awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and we do it also in San Luis. Just I guess 2 weeks ago, they completed the girls' high school championship. And one of the players actually is the Gatorade player athlete of the year that plays in San Luis. So it's the shameless plug that I try to help multiple level of soccer.
Love it. Love that.
So I guess the other question is, if someone asks you Messi and Ronaldo, who would you pick?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I mean, if I had them both on the bench and I had 20 minutes left in the game to win the game, I would pick Ronaldo, just because I think he's a bit more effective. But I prefer watching Messi. Like, the highlights, it's beautiful the way he plays the game, the way he sees the game, his vision. I think, obviously I would say if it was 20 minutes left in the game and I needed someone to score a goal, Ronaldo. But in terms of like over a season, the way he plays and like his ability, I would say Messi.
You know what? You're the very first one that came up with the bench and the situation. So I guess you get a medal for that one. Best answer so far. So last question. So the World Cup is coming up next year. So you're British, I'm French, and it's in U.S. soccer, U.S. soil. So one, how do you feel about England's chances? Second, U.S. chances, and who do you think will probably win the whole thing?
So I'm pretty confident with England. I mean, Tuchel is a top manager. He won the Champions League with Chelsea, so I really
Yes.
love Tuchel. I'm confident about England. I think we have a young squad still. We have a lot of players kind of coming up. Just need to get a striker if Harry Kane's kind of a bit old by then. But I think the US, I don't really have a lot of confidence in the US, to be honest. I think Pochettino is a good manager. I think that he needs a bit of time. So probably by next year, he'll have some time and he'll have figured out a few more things with them. But I don't really see the US with that many chances. Hopefully I get proved wrong. And then overall, I mean, Spain are good. France are good. I'd probably say, Brazil with Ancelotti now. They're going to be really good.
Yes.
But I'm going to back England.
Of course, I guess a perfect answer. Yes, I think I'm definitely excited of how many of the we'll say the big teams, but also the smaller teams, they're formed coming up to this World Cup. I think we might be spoiled by having it closer to home. We don't have to go too far.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah, I can't wait.
Excellent. So yes, Sam. So I definitely appreciate your time for joining me today. It definitely will help some of the kids to know a little bit of the path and someone that's done it before. So is there anything big coming up for Select Generations that you'd like to share with us before we close out?
No, I mean we're still kind of in our growing stages. Like we've had a lot of success, but I think that we keep having better coaches ask us for players. We keep finding better players and kind of taking them under our wings. So next year we got a team in England starting, which I'm really excited about. Just keep getting better players, keep kind of building our agency. So I'd say, the team in England is a big project that we're working on next year. In Spain, we just finished our first season yesterday, finished third. So we're going to obviously try and get promoted and win the league next year. Mm-hmm. And we don't have any like big announcements coming up. Just keep doing our thing. Make sure our players are well taken care of, get them to where they need to be, and just keep working hard.
Yes. And could you share with the people, how they can reach out to you, follow you, and get the latest and greatest?
Yeah. So we post most of our updates on Instagram at Select Generation. That's where you'll find most of our content. Our YouTube channel, we've got a podcast of our own. So if you want to listen to me having conversations with people, then our podcast on YouTube. On YouTube, we have a lot of videos, so you can find out about us. And then my personal Instagram, Sam Henneberg. If you listen to this and you want to have a conversation, or you're interested, or I don't know, I said something and you agree or you disagree, just message me. But yeah, probably Instagram at Select Generation and YouTube. That's where you'll find most of our content.
Perfect. Yes, and we'll definitely put all the details in the comment section and follow up. So definitely appreciate your time, Sam. Looking forward to a little bit more of your podcast and see what you have coming up next. Other than that, everyone, do the normal stuff, like, share, subscribe, But hopefully you enjoy soccer. Stay dry, and I hope you all have a blessed day. Take care.
Cheers, man. Thank you so much.
Oh.